American football in Finland.
The voice in your ears and the face on your screen. I'm Pervis, and this is American Football in Finland. Today, I'm joined by both my co-hosts, Coach Q and Chris Green. What's going on, guys?
What up? What up?
What's up? Let's do this.
Good to have the full crew today. The AFF podcast is available everywhere you listen to podcasts, and you can see us visually here on YouTube. Wherever you listen or watch, be sure to subscribe, follow, and like us. Anyone who listens or watch but doesn't hit that button, we know you're a hater, but that's okay. We're going to get on with the show. All right, it's first down. We get a chance to start fresh and discuss whatever's on our mind. Coach Q, what's going on with you first?
Man, not much, man. Had a great weekend of just watching some sports, man. I'm ready to talk about it. I'm ready to get to the gritty.
Chris, what about you? What's been going on with you?
Playing loads of sport. I don't know if my body likes me. I've been playing it's a cricket season now over here for the US guys. Those of you who don't know what cricket is, it's kind of like the English version of baseball, I guess. Where you're striking and
No,
fielding.
not at all. It's nothing like
Indian.
baseball. Yeah, it's nothing like baseball. But cricket is a cool sport.
Well,
I guess you hit a
so
ball.
we're playing cricket.
But don't you also play netball?
Yeah, and then I do play netball as well. Yeah, I play netball as well.
Anything with a ball. Anything with a ball, you're all
I'm
for.
there. I'm there.
Yeah. Well, for me, not much going on, honestly. Yeah, it was interesting weekend. Took that trip out to Porvoo to see how that game went, and I mean, we all know how the game actually went, so I won't talk about that right now. But first weekend in a long time where I didn't have to fly somewhere, so that's pretty cool. Stayed in country, stayed in Finland. Had good company at the game, talking to people, meeting some people out there. Always good time to go to certain home games. And Porvoo's one of the places I like to go. Helsinki Roosters, one of the places I like to go. I mean, that might be it, honestly, but it's almost the same place. They're really close. So that was my weekend, just going to those places. And I'm like Q, though. I want to get into some football, but I do want to ask Q, did you watch the ELF this weekend? Did you see something in it?
Yeah.
What was – okay, I know this isn't the time or place, but, we're going to do what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Why does the Frankfurt Galaxy have camo uniforms, bro? Get it. I don't get it. I don't understand.
I don't know the backstory on it though, because when I seen the pictures of Luke, I was like, why do they have on camo uniforms? But I don't know. Germany is helping at any war right now, so I don't know why they would have it. But I guess maybe they like the color coordination. I don't know. It was surprising me too, so I can't even answer that. I don't know.
That's just, it's a head scratcher as I scratch my head about it. I didn't know what really was going on. But that's what's going on with us. I guess we'll get into the actual show now. Calling all youth football players. Are you ready to shine this midsummer? Join us at the AFF Nordic Challenge, June 18th through 21st in Helsinki. Showcase your skills to USA college coaches, train with some of the top coaches in Europe, and compete in one-on-ones. Get insider tips at exclusive recruiting sessions and seize international opportunities. You can even win big with camp-sponsored prizes. Space is limited, so register now. Players of the Week is presented by Ballers International. Looking for a community? Looking for a brotherhood? Join Ballers Members. Ballers Members is a private group that services athletes. Ballers members are athletes coming together as men in a brotherhood environment. If brotherhood is something that you're looking for, DM Ballers Internationals at BallersINT on Instagram. All right. So now that we're going to talk about players of the week that have been announced online already on our social media channels, but obviously we got to talk a little bit more in depth about it. I know we're leaning kind of one way this week, but we have good reason. So let's get into the offensive player of the week. Ethan Greenfield, running back from Helsinki Roosters. I'm gonna throw out his stats, but of course, stats isn't why we picked this guy. But he had 11 rush attempts, 74 yards, and a tutty, 4 receptions, 53 yards, and another touchdown. So he totaled 127 all-purpose yards. Q, I'm gonna let you lead it off. What really stood out about Greenfield this week in his game?
Ethan Greenfield had a good game. Like you said, his stats weren't crazy, but just shows you how multi-purpose he is and his ability to hurt, in the run game and the passing game. I think running-wise, he was the ground and pound that the Roosters needed for this game. He continued a lot of drives for them. I believe they had somewhere around maybe 15 first downs or something like that, and a lot of it was because of him and the yards that he got. He's a problem because you can't really set up you can't really set up a defense to really stop what he's able to do. You just got to hope that the quarterback goes to somebody else. But in this game, he was doing everything, catching the ball, running the ball. So I think he had the best performance individually, offensively this week.
Chris, anything you want to add to that?
Just that I think with Ethan Greenfield, he is your Swiss Army knife. The Roosters use him in multiple ways, which is great. They get the ball to him through the air. They hand it off to him. The only thing we haven't seen him do yet is pass the ball. Maybe that might come. Who knows? When they need it. Hey,
Yeah.
we've seen CP15 do it, so why not Greenfield as well? But like I said, he is just a Swiss Army knife. He's a coach's dream to have. He seems like a workhorse for that team, and you can see he's really playing his heart out there, and I think he thoroughly deserved the Offensive Player of the Week this week.
What? Just to throw in my 2 cents, what I really liked about Greenfield is that he's like, I want to say, I don't want to be too like normal, like PC saying it, but he's sneaky good. Like, you don't have to like force the ball to him. You don't have to get him the ball at certain times. He flows within the offense in both the run game and the pass game. So the Roosters didn't have to like do anything special to get him involved, but he was making key plays all game. What I noticed was, like what Q said earlier, a lot of their drives, he would make the play that would make sure the drive continued or make sure that the drive went a little further than it was expected. They do a run play, you expect 3 yards, he gets you 7. That extends the drive. Like, you do a pass play, you want to throw it to the receiver, you hit a check down, expecting to get 2 or 3, he gets you 7 or 8. Like, that's kind of what I saw from him. And that's one thing that I think is just undervalued in football in general. I love it that he plays a running back position and shows you how valuable that position could be in the world. But again, it's one of those situations where he's in the game plan, he's doing his job, but he's doing it so well that you don't even notice that he's really changing the dynamics of what their offense is capable of doing with his versatility. And again, great job to Ethan Greenfield. Glad he got the MVP this week. Let's move on to defense. And again, we're staying with the Roosters this week. I mean, it is what it is. 3 blowouts. Obviously, one team is going to have the best blowout. But we went with defensive back Julian Bell. Stat-wise, he had 6.5 tackles on the day, but he was really active everywhere. So, Chris, I'm going to let you talk about him first. What did you like about Bell this week?
I just think Bell, he's just one of those real hard-working safeties. He's got great sideline-to-sideline speed. He's all over the place. He's in on lots of tackles. He's very active. That Roosters secondary, they had 3 turnovers. They had 3 picks. Although he didn't get one, like he's one of the reasons why they get turnovers, because he's in the right place at the right time, forcing the ball to other guys. And he's just where he needs to be. He does everything under the radar. And I think that it's undervalued, the kind of player that he is, when you don't look at the stat sheet and okay, 6.5 tackles and no breakups, no interceptions as a DB. You think, but stats ain't everything, as we always say. Like, he is one of the workhorses on this defense, and he's just a smart player from what I can see. Real smart player, sticks to tasks, sticks to his job, and he just helps that defense out in that secondary, which is exactly what they needed from last season. They needed help in the secondary, and they've got it in Julian Bell.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in there next. I agree with you that he was very active. I don't know if they be getting these stats right, man, because I just went and looked at his stats, and it's like he had 6 solos and 1 assist for the 6.5. And of course, that's great because he was making a lot of tackles like in open space, open field tackle. That's hard to do. And that just tells you how good of a tackler he is. But at the same time, I saw number 13 in a lot of places. I just feel like, maybe they're not giving him all this love. Maybe go back and look at the stat sheet because I feel like he probably was closer to like 11 tackles, in my opinion. But again, the stats are the stats. But that's the type of player he is. And in the game he had this game he was everywhere, despite what the stat sheet says. I don't care what the stat sheet says. You saw number 13 making plays, helping his teammates get into those interception situations, and he was really dynamic this week, so it was really good to see him. Q, anything you want to add about Bell before we move on?
Julian Bell, he had a pretty good game. I want to say this: it's hard to get 6 solo tackles in the books in Finland. It's hard. It's hard to get that because it's technically, if anybody assists you making a tackle, then you're going to get half a tackle. You know what I mean? So for them to give him 6 solo, that means that he actually was, moving around. I like his play. I like his play in this game. I look forward to seeing what he does against better opponents too, in the passing game. But this game, he definitely did what a safety is supposed to do: give run support, be all over the field, helping in the passing game. The Crusaders don't have a slouch at running back, so he was coming up and actually trying to make some things happen, and very physical. And I think you need that when you have a younger secondary. And Julian Bell, like he's a great player to look at and watch for this season. So yeah, he's definitely deserving of it.
All right, we'll move on to helmet stickers now. Okay, so let's talk about some key player performances from this week. All stats aside, these are players who deserve recognition for their play last week. And again, in the spirit of the helmet stickers, you can give players 1, 2, or 3 helmet stickers depending on their performance. That way we can talk about guys who maybe they didn't have like a crazy performance, but they did something important. Give them a sticker, man. Do something like that. You know what? I'll start this off because I want to. I want to start this off with giving 3 helmet stickers to a group. And I don't know if this is even part of the rules that I made up myself, but
you stole mine. You stole
Hey,
it.
do what you want.
Mine.
I'm starting with it. No, I don't think you know what I'm going with this one because I'm going to give it to the Wolverines defense.
I was too. We was going.
Oh, okay. I mean, we can both do the same one. We can both talk about it. I was really impressed with the Wolverines defense because, I mean, first of all, they came out and got a pick in the very beginning, and let's just talk about it. The receiver was, I guess, playing with the ball. I don't know what he was doing, and Darius Lewis wasn't having none of that. Darius Lewis out there playing like a little mini me out there. Not a mini me, like he's a small guy, but he was playing like him and Alvin Reels the same size. Like you couldn't tell the difference between the two of them, like physically in that game. And he took old buddy out, ball popped up in the air. Alvin caught that thing and ran a little bit. And then the offense didn't do anything with it, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because that's how the offense was. But this defense, they weren't bad. And I know a lot of people will say, Crocodiles didn't, have all their play. Yeah, whatever. The Crocodiles were missing maybe one guy on offense. And no offense, but that one guy wasn't someone who was like instrumental so far in this season. And the Wolverines defense held the Crocs in the first 2-3 quarters of that game. Mm-hmm. For most of that game, they held them in check. And it was one of those things where if your offense doesn't help you at all, eventually the bottom lets out. But I just want to give a shout out to, I can't remember who's playing on the line, but Jasper. I can't remember his last name. I'm sorry, but he was number 50 on playing nose tackle as well as center the whole game. And he was winning a lot defensively. Like their defensive line was creating pressure. It wasn't a situation where the Crocodiles were just manhandling them. And then linebacking core, Alvin Reels was doing his thing, making a lot of plays, getting to the ball. And even the secondary, led by Darius Lewis, but even those other guys were stepping up a couple of times. Corners made a few plays. Safeties were attempting to tackle CP. I don't think they were really successful. You see it a lot of times they would just hold on to him and go out of bounds, but they were stopping him from going forward early in the game. And just as a group, like the way that they played as a collective more than individually, the Wolverines defense looked good. It looked really good. And I just want to give them their flowers this week because we might not never see that again, in all honesty. But this week, and against that specific roster of Seinäjoki Crocodiles, the Helsinki Wolverines defense looked really good, and I want to give them 3 stars for that. And since Q had them as well, I'm going to let you go ahead and talk about them a little bit if you can.
Yeah, I was going to give all my stickers to the Helsinki Wolverines. Just the effort that they brought, you know what I'm saying? I know the Crocs didn't have a lot on defense of their starters on defense, but like you said, offensively, we've seen CP, we've seen Christian Anthony playing still, Sakala still playing still, you know, so they weren't going up against slouches. So I commend the Wolverines for their ability to give more effort than what they've been given, and the go to Darius Lewis. Coming off the injury last year or whatever, he came in, and I think when you're an import on a team like the Wolverines, you have to show them how football is supposed to be played. And I don't mean like defense, I mean effort-wise. You have to show them like you have to be faster, you have to be aggressive, you have to play a certain kind of way to be in games like that. And he started it off, you know, with the pick. He started it off with his play. He was running it, you know, running sideline to sideline. He was making hits. So shout out to Darius for that too, because I know it starts somewhere. You know what I'm saying? I always say you got to have a leader on defense. Obviously, Darius is the leader on the Helsinki Wolverines team. So the stars go to the whole defense, but more specifically Darius, because he's the import. He's the one that they look to for leadership. So I just commend them for the effort that the Wolverines gave. Like, they don't have all the personnel in the world, but they actually play very good and decent football those first 2 or 3 quarters.
Yeah. What about you, Chris? Anybody you want to give some helmet stickers to this week?
Guy I really want to give some flowers to, who's at the moment putting the team on his back, is Moses Harris.
Okay, yeah.
The reason why I'm going with Moses Harris is because the boy can run, and he is a big unit. And I'm not talking about like running in a straight line. I'm talking about this guy can cut. He's breaking tackles. He's got like 2-3 guys in the backfield. He's throwing them around, and he's still making positive yards. And on a team that are not being very successful thus far, he's shown some light and some great for their offense. And I know we talked a little bit about it off air, that maybe they should go sort of the read option or triple option route with this offense. I think that would suit them a bit more, with Bryce, you know, showing what he can do with his legs. But with Moses and the talent you've got, I mean, I'll just read out his stats. He had 13 carries for 81 yards and 5 receptions for 60. So he's doing it in a run and a pass game as well. And I really like what he's bringing to the table. And he's definitely a positive for that team at the moment, because it's finding it hard to get some positives for the Crusaders. But Moses Harris, yeah, he's balling. And I guess he gets 2 stars. You know, I'd like to see him on the touchdown board. If he just scored, maybe he gets 3 stars. But I would give him 2 stickers for it. 156 all purpose. He's a workhorse, and he's really putting the team on his back at the moment. And somebody else needs to step up and give this man a hand.
Hey, you said it all right there. What about you, Q? Anybody else you want to throw out there?
No, not really. I don't want to just hand them out. If I feel like you don't deserve that, I didn't see anything else that made me, you know, that made me want to give out any stickers like that. You know,
if anybody is watching or listening, I will let y'all know. Q don't play about his. Like, you're not gonna just get no recognition from this man out here. Like, you have to do something special. So I'm gonna go out with people that I thought did something special. And one guy I'm gonna talk about, because I mean, why not? Is I'm gonna talk about CP from the Crocs. Stat wise, he had 20 attempts, 164 yards, 4 touchdowns. That's wild, because I honestly, like, I don't know. I didn't keep up with the stats throughout the game, but I feel like if at halftime you would have said he only had like 50 yards rushing, I'd be like, sound about right. Not doing a lot, not doing much, but he has done consistently throughout this season the same thing. As the game goes on, he becomes inevitable. Like you can do what you want to early in the game, but in the third and fourth quarter, you're not stopping Christian Powell. And what I really liked was when he had that long run. I think that was the beginning of like the third quarter or something, right? Like they just got back to the game. He had that really long run, and it was just a perfect moment of he's him. Like he's still him. Like he's not going anywhere. He still got it. He used speed. Like, don't forget, that man is still one of the fastest players in the league. And he got up out of there, got his touchdown, and then he started racking up more touchdowns after that. I think he ended up with 4 total. I think that was his like first or second or somewhere around there. But either way, like that one run really showed like, okay, you can slow me down at a certain time, but you can't stop me. And that's the thing about Christian Powell. You can't really stop him. You can only delay what's inevitable. And in this game, he just kept trucking. He's like, okay, Wolverine's defense was playing good. I think they played a really good game, but you're never really going to stop this guy. And like I said, a lot of times they were getting him to go out of bounds where there's players hanging on him. He goes out of bounds, but he's still standing. Like, they're not taking him to the ground. He's going out of bounds, and he's waiting for his moment of when he can actually stay in bounds and get all those yards like he did. So it's really good to see him play that game. And I know it can get a little tiresome of us talking about CP so much all the time, but stop him then. Like that's the only way I'm gonna stop talking about it is if he stopped playing good, then I won't have anything to say. But he's playing at the top of the game, and I'm gonna continue to give him his flowers. That's why he gets 3 stars from me this week, because in this type of game where you really don't have anything to play for, he still plays at a high level compared to everyone around him. So that gets 3 stars from me. Chris, did you have anybody else on the list? Because I got more names. Y'all know I got a lot of names.
The other guy I want to mention, he's had a quiet first couple of weeks, and that's Zach Wright. So he really showed out in this game. 5 tackles, 1 pick. This is the Zach Wright that we know from last year. He's not really done a lot in the first couple games, but this game he was all over the place. This was a really weird game for me, the Butchers game. Like, it was close for a while, and then the floodgates just opened up. It was a crazy game, and I know we'll talk about it a bit more later, but I just feel like Zach Wright now, this was his coming back to the party game. Because, as I said, he's had a couple of quiet games, but now he's finding his way again, and he's doing things and helping the team win. Because we didn't really see that in the first couple of games, and the Butchers struggled, and they struggled to defend the pass in the first couple of games. And this game, he showed out, and he did his job, ends up with an interception. So I think for me, Zach Wright, because of the upgrade in performance, I'd probably give him 3 stars.
I'm going to tag on with the Zach Wright because I also give him 3 stars. And I want to say what really stood out for me with Zach Wright this weekend was he tackled Alpha Jallo a lot. And that's not something a lot of people could say. And the thing that he did that really stood out was he just held on. I mean, that's all you can do when you're trying to tackle Jallo is hold on. And he held on to him. And there was a lot of plays where you thought, okay, Alpha's about to break this. And then number 0 would just hold on to him long enough to take him to the ground or long enough for the cavalry to arrive. But they're very small details because they don't look like huge plays. But anyone who knows, the Royals and who you're playing against, those were huge plays. In the play where Alpha, changed the laws of physics, no one held on to him. Yeah. So, and we'll talk about that later. But that was something I really liked about Zach Wright. That's why he definitely gets 3 stars. I got a couple of guys I'm going to throw out there. I'm not going to talk about them long because apparently this segment gets long. But I got some 1 stars because y'all need to be named. Number 26 from the Crusaders, Leonardo Sophocles. Is that how you say his name? I don't know who this guy is. All I know is when I was watching the game, number 26 looked real fast. Every time he got them kickoffs, he was running real fast. They didn't pass him the ball enough, but he was running real fast. And I know you have Moses Harris at running back, but if y'all need someone else to give the ball to Crusaders, I say give number 26. He had 167 all-purpose yards, mostly kickoff returns, but still, he showed some potential that they can get something cooking offensively if they utilize him. So that's why he gets 1 star. Other player I got getting 1 star from me is Alpha Jallo. I mean, basically he gets it for that one play because that play was insane. And if you don't know the play, go look on the highlights. He did like what he did. Like it was
Reggie Bush-ish.
it's not natural, but it's so exciting. And
You're
like,
not supposed to do that.
yeah, that's all you can
You're
say.
not
Like, you're
supposed
not
to do
supposed
that.
to do that. And when he was doing it, I was in the stands, and like, obviously there's a lot of Butchers fans in the stands. And when he was running, everybody's kind of, it gets quiet when he runs because you don't
You
know what's
knew
going
it was
to happen.
gone. You
And
knew
then
it
it
was
looked like,
gone.
okay, they got him wrapped up. And then when he bounced back out, all you heard was,
Knew it was gone. Yeah, I knew it was
because
gone. It the corner.
it was when he started going. We started going backwards. You're like, oh no, because he can run backwards and then get forward before you can change left to right. And when he did that, it was like, oh my gosh. And then at the end, it was like, okay, you just wall him off, get him out of bounds, and he still finished strong. Like that. That's one thing that I envy about Alpha Jallo more than anything is as a player, I was a fast guy, but I never had the conditioning to like do what he does on a regular basis. Because you got to remember, and many times he moved and changed direction. It was a 65 yarder that he caught and scored on. But if we had next gen stats, he easily ran 120 yards.
Yeah,
easily.
Yeah.
And it's like that's just something I never had as a player. That's why I'm so jealous of him physically because what he does is you're not supposed to be able to do that. Like not at that speed, as fast as he's going, and then having the conditioning to do that for 4 quarters. He's also playing both ways. Don't forget he was playing safety and receiver most of the game. So even at that point, he should have been somewhat fatigued, and he was able to do it. And he changed speeds. He was jogging at one point when it looked like he was going to get put out of bounds, and then he sped back up to cut back across the field and finish and not get caught from behind. And, that happens to, some people. So he gets 1 star from me. I mean, he probably should have got more stars, but I'm really just giving him 1 star for that one play. As a game as a whole, I'm not going to talk about him until we talk about the actual game. Last guy I'm giving 1 star to is friend of the show, Axley Olin, number 23 apparently this year.
Olin.
Hey, I don't know what the Roosters got going. I know they got some 12-year-olds playing on the offensive line. They got a lot of injuries going on. We get their weekly injury reports, a lot of names out. And I don't know, but this is what I think. I think they needed bodies. Actually, it was like, shoot, I'll lace them up one more time for you guys. Mm-hmm. Went out there, played some receiver, played some running back. They handed him the ball at running back. Oh, my God. I was like, what y'all doing? Like, what y'all doing?
Out of there. He tried to get out of there, didn't he?
Hey, he tried, though. And that's what you get a star for. Ola, you get a star, man, because you went out there and you did what the team needed you to do. They needed you, and you showed up. And, I mean, just respect to that man for getting out there, knowing that he probably hasn't practiced in a while or done anything physically like that. Probably not supposed to play this year, but they need him, so he out there. So shout out to Axley Olin. Give him that 1 star. That'll be our last helmet stickers. Let's move on to win or loss. Are you a fan of the American Football in Finland podcast? Show your support in style. Rock our logo proudly on hoodies, t-shirts, beanies, and snapbacks, all designed for fans like you. Join us in celebrating American football in Finland. Grab your gear and be a part of the AFF community. All right, so we all know what happened at the games. A lot of big scores. But let's get into the teams and let's talk about who won or lost. First game, Helsinki Roosters versus Loyal Crusaders. Chris, you go first. Who won this game or who lost this game to you?
Easy one for me. The Roosters won the game. They were dominant through all 3 phases. The Crusaders didn't put up much of a fight apart from, Moses Harris. He was the only one who kind of stood up and put a fight up. But the Roosters were dominant on offense. Like, Ambrose's stats were good. He didn't play great, but his guys were so open. Like, anyone back there would be able to throw the ball to these guys because they were just so open. Like, nobody's out there covering. It's ridiculous. So, yeah, the Roosters definitely won this game. Crusaders didn't put up much of a fight at all, and it's disappointing because I would have expected more from them, if I'm honest.
What about you, Q? Who do you think won or lost this one?
I think the Roosters won. Well, I know the Roosters won. Better team, more organized right now. The Roosters are, I'd say, probably in the best position you could be in being an injured team.
Yeah.
You haven't really played any of the teams that everybody else looked at as stronger teams. You know what I mean? So, I
Well,
think
they did play the Butchers, and we thought the Butchers was going to be a stronger team.
I'm saying like in the sense of like I'm not counting the Butchers right now because
Okay.
they're not playing like the normal Butchers. So
You caught them
know
at a
what I
good
mean?
time, though.
Yeah, like they caught
It's a
them
hell
at
of a
good time.
schedule.
Yeah, and it's like if you can win and be injured the way that they're injured, you gotta love that. But they don't look bad injured. You know what I mean? Obviously, I don't think that they can continue the rest of the season going like this injured. But I think for this game, they did what they had to do. They moved the ball around. Once again, they did a great job with Ambrose again, and minimizing exactly what they're trying to do and letting him get the ball to their playmakers and him not having to be the hero of the game, which he still looked good. And I just think the Roosters won this fair and square. I mean, it's nothing else to say. Lohi had a great effort in certain parts of the game, but they just don't have the personnel to stick around with teams like the Roosters, even if they're injured. You know.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. Roosters easily won this one. I like that. Even though they're injured, you can kind of see their backup stepping up. Renee Raltonen at receiver, as well as Nunnally, obviously, kind of cementing themselves as go-to targets and being reliable for Ambro. And then, Ethan Greenfield out of the backfield is helping them out. But one guy that kind of stood out in this game for me was the number 14, Tarmo Pitkanen. He had 9 receptions, 160 yards, and a touchdown. I don't know if a lot of that was in garbage time, it's stat-wise. But I do know when the part of the game that I watched, which is the first half, when it was 42 or something to 6 or something like that. The first half of the game, he was instrumental. He made a lot of really good catches, a lot of tough catches, and I think that's something for them going forward, knowing that both him and Raltonen are going to be available and they're going to have experience as they get their starters back and get a couple more guys back on the offensive side. I think it'll be really good for them going forward. And in this game, he was able to get a lot of reps against, not a great defense, but still it was, a Maple League defense technically they played against. Mm-hmm. But I do think the Roosters just kind of outmatched a team that wasn't ready to play them, which is bad for the Crusaders. If you really look at it, they pretty much beat you with their backups, guys, and they beat you bad with the backups.
They only got to beat one team. They only got to beat one team to get to the playoffs. So it's probably I won't say who I think it's gonna be.
Oh, you talking about the Crusaders?
Yeah, going on in the rest of the year. You only really.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you don't want to come in last. You just got to beat one team. You're right.
Yeah, you only got to beat one team, man. If you want to get to the playoffs, you only got to beat one team. I think the Royals, but we'll talk about that mid-summer. But yeah.
Okay, so the second game, win or loss, we got Seinäjoki Crocodiles and the Helsinki Wolverines game. Q, you can lead us off in this one. Who won or lost this one? I hope you said the right thing.
Seinäjoki Crocodiles definitely won. Again, better team. Look, I know you ain't think I was going to say the Helsinki Wolverines lost this game.
But they did. But they did. But they did. They did.
You tripping. I commend the effort, but I'm not saying that they were supposed to win this game. They wasn't. Just because they was in the game the first quarter, second quarter, don't mean they were supposed to win this game. Nobody thought they were even going to do what they were going to do.
They should have had the lead. They should have scored first.
The Crocs right now are doing what we expected them to do. The Wolverines are doing what we expected them to do, and that's not put up much of a fight for a long time. So the Crocodiles won this game. I'm not even gonna let me think about what you're gonna say right now because I ain't gonna disrespect. I even got the Crocs green on today. I wore the Crocs olive green today just for them. I ain't got no hat, but y'all can send me a bucket hat. It can't fit, but I'll do something with it.
I want a bucket. Give me a bucket.
Y'all need bucket hats. Oh, man. What about you, Chris? Who do you think won or lost this game?
I am going to agree with Q, because you are crazy if you think the Wolverines had any chance of winning this game. I'm sorry, but the Wolverines are the Wolverines. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And I know the Crocs were like resting people and stuff. And my opinion on that is early on in the season, I'm not a massive fan of it, but you do you, boo. But the Wolverines, they definitely lost this game. The Crocodiles definitely won it. Like, there's no doubt about it. There's no way the Wolverines are winning this game. I'm sorry, but they were just not in it. I mean, pass and attack was terrible.
Explain why the Crocs won. Don't explain why the Wolverines lost then, because it sounds like you're saying what I'm saying.
Because Christian Powell ran all over them. He ran all over them. Okay?
Yeah,
they weren't great through the air. They weren't great through the air. You know, Arambe made some mistakes. You know, he threw 2 picks. But Christian Powell ran all over him. And when you give CP the ball, when he gets like CP does what CP does, when you get him 20 plus carries, he's gonna win you the game. We said this last year in the final. He didn't get enough carries. Simple as. You give him 20 plus carries, he'll win you the game.
They've been giving him 20 plus the last 2 weeks, right? Like he's getting them carries this year. They're not playing around.
They need it. They need to feed him.
They fired the head coach who was supposed to be coming from Sweden. I think he had some different plans, and they're like, "Nah, we're not doing that. We gonna give CP the ball." And whoever in charge now, they making sure CP getting his carries. They're not messing around. CP gonna get his carries. But again, okay, I'm put it out here. I want y'all to listen to me. Okay, the Wolverines lost this game for a lot of reasons. First of all, Crocodile disrespected them boys, saying we ain't gonna start our 3 Americans. We're gonna sit them. We're gonna sit 3 out of our. Well, they got 6, I guess, but we're gonna sit 3 of our Americans down. And the most disrespectful part about it is they took 2 of their like best defensive players off the field and said, "You still not gonna score. Yeah, like you still not gonna score." They went to college together, so we're gonna let them hang out. And y'all aren't going to score any points because y'all are just that bad. And that's why it was theirs to win, because this was probably the only opportunity they ever would have had to beat the Crocodiles is with a defense that was undermanned. Because there's no way, like, offensively, they were able to do, like, they still had their players, so you still have to play that game. And the Wolverines showed that they could actually hold up against that offense. That interception, you got to get points right after that. Like, that's a game changer, momentum changer. They can't kick field goals. You have to get points. The reason they lost this game is because they didn't take advantage of that opportunity. And I'm not even just talking about the interception. I'm talking about the game. This was the game that you upset them. Does anybody think that the Wolverines winning this game would have made them a better team? No. Everybody would have been like, Crocodile stupid for resting their starters, right? That's all that would have happened. But it still would have been a win. And it still was possible. If you look at this game, early in this game, that defense played their asses off. They kept the game close. Offense did nothing. Nothing. This team, this is the best this team is ever going to play. And on the offensive side, they didn't throw the kitchen sink at them. They waited too late to put in Darius and Alvin Reels at running back. It was totally different when they put in the 2 imports at running back. Both of them had good runs. Why not do that earlier? Another thing, your quarterback, he can't handle a handoff. The quarterback fumbles it 5 or 6 times, literally just handing it off to somebody or catching a snap. These are huge mistakes that you should know going into this game. But in this one game, you had an opportunity to do things you couldn't do. They were in the red zone like 3 times and didn't score. That's opportunity. That means you lost. Now, no disrespect to the Crocodiles. Their offense played really good later on in the game, but it was one of those situations where they got so many opportunities, eventually they're going to get it. And that's what happens. Like I said, you can't just keep giving CP the ball and expect nothing to happen. But had the Wolverines done something offensively, the Crocodiles would have been inclined to go elsewhere with the ball. They wouldn't have been able to keep running the ball late in the game because the score would have made them have a little bit of urgency. But there was no urgency because they knew offensively, okay, even if we don't score, they're not going to score. The Wolverines not going to do anything. And to that end, the Wolverines didn't try anything new. They didn't try anything different to, throw some points. Where's my flea flicker, a trick play or something so that you can get a couple points? And I know some things went bad for the defense, and then the bottom of the barrel came out or whatever. But in my opinion, the Wolverines lost this game because it was their only opportunity to get a win they don't deserve.
I don't
And
think they had an
again,
opportunity to win this game. They didn't.
I just
have an
explained the opportunity.
to
They had plenty of opportunities. The very first
They're not
drive,
good enough to take it, and they were never going to win this
I would
game.
I can agree that some of their players aren't good enough, but I think there's one of the situations where in this game of all games is when you try to put your best players in the positions so that you can win, and they didn't do that. They just played it like it's another game we're going to lose. They went into the game saying we're going to lose it, and then they lost it. And that's why they lost the game, is they weren't ready to win. If the Crocodiles had took a knee on every play and said we're only going to play the fourth quarter, Wolverine still would have lost this game because they never thought they were going to win it. And you could see it on the field in the way that they played offensively. Defensively, I feel like they had some guys out there really thinking they had a chance. And I feel bad for that defense because they must not know who's playing on offense. Again, this is why they lost the game. But you guys are both, 100% right. The Crocodiles earned the victory that they got. But me personally, I would take all kind of disrespect to a team sitting their defensive players and me knowing that I can't score offensively. Because that's all it was. Yeah. If they didn't really sit anybody on offense and they scored points like you expect them to score, if they would have not sat anybody and still scored 37 points, you'd have been like, good game by the Crocodiles, right? Because you expect them to score that amount of points in this game.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
Yeah. And that's just what it is. And then with the Wolverines scoring 14, you're like, oh, well, the Crocodiles had their regular defense. No, they did not. And you still only scored 14, which lets you know you have no chance of ever really competing in any games for the rest of the season because you can't beat a backup defense. And that's why they lost. They never thought they were going to win. So going to the third game, which was supposed to be like the game of the week, Porvoo Butches versus Wausau Royals. Tell me this: who won or lost this one, Chris? Go ahead, tell me.
The Butchers won, and I'll tell you why the Butchers won.
Because you sure? We got a 2-minute period, and we can talk about it.
The Butchers won, and the reason why is because their defense balled out. Like Timmy Nuka, all over the field. Causing forced fumbles. He was in on that safety that they got as well. Like he was all over the field, making tackles for loss, hitting the quarterback, making big plays after big plays. Zach Wright getting the interception. Jesse Vuxentora staying in the backfield all the time. Like their defense played very well. It's the best they've played all year. And their offense did enough. You got Mickey J out there making plays from the backfield. Gwinner making decent throws, not having a lot of opportunities to throw the ball, but making decent throws. They didn't have a lot of plays on offense, but they made them count. And defensively, they got a score as well. The forced fumble, they ran it back for the score for the fumble recovery. So their defense just balled out, and I don't think that the Royals had an answer for it. And I mean, apart from that Alpha Jolla ridiculous play that he made, there wasn't much life in their offense at all. A couple runs from Swasti, but other than that, like their offense didn't really have much life. And the Butchers defense were all over them. And I think that's one of the big reasons why the Butchers won this game is because their defense played so well.
No, that's an interesting take. I like it. What about you, Q? Who won or lost this one for you?
I'm going to say the Butchers won. They came out and did exactly what they needed to do to get that start, that first win of the season, to get it rolling. They looked like the Butchers that we know somewhat, not the powerful, scoring, fast Butchers, but I did see Mickey get out of there on them one time.
Yeah, he did.
Brandon Gwinner had a different demeanor about him this game too. I think he was a lot more comfortable. He was a lot more hyped. That's what I expected from him from the first 2 games, but I didn't really see that. Like they were trying to find a way maybe, but we all know it starts with him. It starts with Brandon Gwinnett. So if he's on, then the rest of the team will follow. It was nice to see them move the ball around and get some touchdowns. I said previously that the Butchers defense could be a problem. Could not say be a problem, but the Royals could hit them if they went to the right areas. But the Royals didn't do that. They're just. I'm not sure who's the offensive coordinator or who's calling the plays, but you got to give some better effort in that than just handing the ball off to Swolsty and getting the ball to Alpha when you can. You need to implement an actual system to where Alpha touches the ball just as much as CP does. Does he take some time off from defense? Yes, he has to. If you want some production on offense, but you can't sustain going this year like this, because what you're going to do is you're going to burn out Alpha and you're going to burn out Swolsty, and the quarterback is just going to be there doing what he can, and it's just going to be a boring season. I hope they don't do that. I hope they figure out a way to add to that offense because they need it. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to win games like that, given that type of effort or given that type of performance. But Alpha being on the team, a lot of things can happen, but Alpha can only do so much. And you still need the rest of the team. But Porvoo won the game hands down.
Pervis, before you
go ahead. I was going to ask questions, but go ahead.
I'm going to ask a question as well. So before Pervis says, "I know the Royals lost this game," because I know he's going to say it. I can see the look in his eyes. Do you think the reason why Brandon Gwinnett was having that positive demeanor is because of the change of the OC? Do you think that's had a positive effect on him?
Yeah, that's probably part of it. It may be stuff that he wanted to do in these losses that he maybe didn't get to do. And he felt because maybe whoever the OC wasn't calling those plays. So to see your offense now score points, it almost seems like it was the right move. But we don't really know. We're just saying that because they just won. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's hard to really tell right now if that was the right move to do. I personally wouldn't have been okay with it. But at the same time, they just won a championship. It might have been a little bit of panic there. Like, oh, we can't go 0-3 or 0-2. But yes, you can. You can.
You can.
You can go 0-2, 0-3. You can. Like, it doesn't change anything as far as like the rest of the games. Yes, it puts you behind, but I think he might have just been a little more hyped of the guys getting in the end zone and the offense getting moving. And, they're probably feeling like, all right, this is what we're supposed to be doing. So I think that may be more where it came from, more so than the offensive coordinator, because we already know most of the quarterbacks have that influence anyway, as far as what they want to run. But I'm not sure what happened there, but they got the first win, and I'm sure that was a lot, and they happy about that. So.
Yes, so my question was actually going to be about the Royals. I was going to ask you, Q, or Chris too. I guess you could answer this as well. Is what do you think the Royals need to do to create some real offense? Because we've seen 3 games so far, and we've come to the same conclusion. You can't just keep handing the ball off to Swolsey and hoping that works.
Sign Jabari. Sign Jabari. And I'm saying sign Jabari Harris. But I'm saying sign somebody like Jabari Harris. Sign somebody that can run the ball and throw the ball. Your quarterback probably can do that, but we're just not seeing it. He's not forcing it. Somebody like Jabari would. You know what I mean? Like he's going to take off for 60, 50. You know what I'm saying? Get you somebody else that can hurt a defense. Not somebody that's going to be timid and throw the ball when he can and just throw it and do little runs every now and then. At this point, you're desperate at this point because – knowing Vossa, they're probably not going to make a change. They're going to stick with what they've been doing. But I'll tell you what, Santander, whatever his name is, can't say his name. Sanders.
Landers. Theo Landers.
Theo Landers. Yeah.
The only other Landers that I like was on The Simpsons. And
Flanders.
Flanders,
Sanders, whatever the name is.
Because right now,
Royals 0-3.
I don't see what was the plan in this year. I don't see what they were planning on doing with this quarterback.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they had a strategy. You're right.
It's not his fault. I'm sure it's not his fault, but I'm just saying like they don't look together. It seems like they signed who they could sign, and we got Alpha. You know what I mean? Like I think they should have signed last year. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna go back there, but they should have signed him again. I mean, and hey, now you bring in another receiver, whatever. But right now, if they don't make a quarterback change, they have to bring in other skill players. If you don't do that, then it's just going to get worse. Alpha's still going to get those big plays sometimes, but it's just not going to be enough.
I don't know how you can. I'm just throwing this out there without trying to be too bashing, but I don't know how you can bring in other skilled players if the quarterback can't get the ball to them. That's what we saw in the Butchers game. He was not able to be on the same page as his receivers, I guess. But there's a lot of either errant throws or routes in the wrong places. I don't know. But I want to pass over to you, Chris. What do you think that the Royals could do to fix their offense?
More aggressive play calling. I think start over. I think their play calling's been a little bit vanilla. If I'm honest, they're going a bit too safe with things. They're not really taking chances. They're not really throwing the ball down the field that much. They're going quite conservative. You know, you see sometimes receivers not getting open, Landers going to his second, third reads, and they're not there just because the skill guys are not getting open as well. So I know Landers, and I know he's a good QB, and I know he has the ability to get the ball to the receivers. So maybe it's the receivers not getting open as well. And if you look at the stat sheet, all you can see is Swosty and Jallo. No one else.
Last year was the same way.
Touched the stat sheet.
Last year was the same way, except the quarterback also had like 500 yards rushing, I think.
Yeah,
that's
so
the only difference.
Where are the damn receivers in Vasa? Like, where are the guys that can get open? Because I'm not seeing it right now.
To be fair, the rumor is that they have some injuries because they have like U20 players playing, and kids have been getting injured playing in the youth games and the men's games. But again, that's their own damn fault. Because half the team is kids, and those kids they're not Maple League ready yet, and so now they're in a situation where you don't have enough players or enough depth to have skill player positions. I heard a lot of talk coming from the Royals camp about our young kids gonna step up. We're gonna have some receivers this year. We're gonna have a full skill. I ain't seen nothing but alpha, but alpha. And just to throw this out there about Landers, I don't know if Landers listens to the podcast or if anybody that knows him is listening. We're not slandering the guy, but let's be 100 with the Maple League. The Maple League ain't for everybody. We've seen a lot of players and even like quarterbacks, specifically quarterbacks, I'll say that, come out here and not do that well, and then go other places and do great. One guy that comes to mind, the Trevor Vasey guy, he played for Porvoo. He did not play well in Porvoo. He went to Sweden, had a pretty good, career out there. Riley Yodell, who just played with, UNC, but Loyola last year, he played for the Tampa Saints a few seasons back, and I remember actually saying some pretty negative things about him because he did not play well. He did not play well. He went to Sweden, and then I think he went to
Germany. I think somewhere in
Germany.
Yeah,
somewhere else. And he had great bounce back seasons. Did good out there.
I think he's currently in Germany right now with the Hamburg Pioneers. I think.
That's good for him.
Yeah,
but again, it's no shade to nobody else or these other leagues either. But the Maple League ain't for the faint of heart, and it doesn't work for everybody. A little bit about the Finnish culture and the style of football they play here. Maybe the way that plays are ran and how teams do things. Like Landers just came from Spain, where he had a great season, but we all know the difference between Spain and here, and that's just one of those things. I don't know if maybe they got him for cheap. Maybe it was just easy to get him because he was already in Europe. But maybe that's not the route they need to go with the quarterback decision for this season. But that's what they did. So, it is what it is. So I'm going to talk about win or loss. Now, I'm tempted to say that the Royals lost the game.
I knew it.
I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say that the Butchers won the game because I do think that they deserve the acknowledgement that they won this game. They took this game when they needed to. But I just want to talk about some things. With 5 minutes left to go in the half, the score was 13-6. 13-6. And if anybody was watching this game as I was in the stands, it wasn't even a good game. it was 13-6, and I had questions for both teams, like why they not doing this, why they not doing this. My biggest question, and this is gonna be a little off the subject, but why the Butchers need 6 captains? You don't need 6 captains. Why you need 6 captains to go out there? Like y'all just, I mean, I get it. You got some guys that you really like, but come on, guys, you don't need 6 captains to go out in the middle of the field. So that let me know that some weird stuff was going to be going on in this game. But it was 13-6 with 5 minutes left in the half. Now, just using your normal football brain, okay, maybe it's 20-6 or 13-13 going into half within the next 5 minutes of play. But no, it actually ends up being 28-6 going into half. So within a 3-minute frame, the Butchers scored 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
In this frame, and this is also, now that I'm thinking of this, just remember, guys, we don't really take a lot of notes before we do this. So I'm thinking through my process. This is what happened. Alpha fumbled the ball. I don't think it was a fumble. I'm pretty sure his wrist was down and the ball was on the ground. Like, I think he put the ball down and then it came out. Maybe it was. I was at the game. I didn't watch the replay. Don't care. They called what they did on the field. Respect to the refs. You got to make a call, stick with it. He fumbles the ball. They get a touchdown. So now it's 19-6. Okay. That makes sense. Well, on the next kickoff, I think, is it a fumble or something happens? Somehow they end up with the ball inside their own territory. I don't remember what happened exactly, but somehow the Royals end up with the ball in their own territory, and they get a sack for a safety. First of all, dumb play. Throw the damn ball, quarterback, or run the ball offense. I don't know how you get stuck in a situation. But quarterback takes a sack. They get a safety. 2 more points. And then the Butchers get the ball. Mickey J does his thing and breaks off like a long run, was like 50 yards or something like that.
It was a screen pass, wasn't it? Screen pass.
Yeah, screen pass. There you go. It was a screen pass. He gets all the yards, and you're back on the board. Now it's 27-6, and then they get the extra point. It's 28-6 before half. Just like that, the game is over for the Royals.
Mm.
Just like that. That's the. I just went through the events that happened. They had a fumble. They took a sack. And they gave the ball back to them. They scored a touchdown. Boom, that's it. Before that happened, with 5 minutes left in the half, it was 13-6. Alpha had already made one great play, and you were thinking, if the Royals can come up with something before half, or at least just keep at it keep like where it was. Because I think the Royals got the ball at halftime too, to start the third quarter.
I can't remember.
I'm not 100%.
I can't remember who
I'm not 100% sure. But if you're watching the game with 5 minutes left, you're thinking, okay, neither team is really like doing anything specifically to stand out, but it could go either way. And then just like that, it's over. And in the second half, I mean, the Butchers came out and put it on them, and respect to that. Like, they came out and just start putting up points. But the Royals were already in a situation. When it became 28-6, they were done. We talked about that offense not built to score 28 points. It was never in the plan. As soon as it got out of hand like that, they were done. And basically, when Alpha had that fumble and it went back the other way, that turned the whole game around. And that was it. After that, it was pretty much over.
I just looked at the drive chart. Yeah, the Royals had to kick off for the third quarter.
Yeah, so and they didn't do anything. It. And they didn't do anything with it. But if they would have just held the ball for 5 minutes, they could have went to the half at 13-6, or even 19-6 would have been okay if they held the ball and punted and let them drive and score. Mm-hmm. And then, the Mickey J screenplay, I think that goes to the offensive coordinator. We haven't seen them run that screen in the first 2 games, have we? And they did it a couple
grab as well. One hand.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bad throw. But Mickey J is Mickey J, man. You got to expect that from that guy. He's gonna make those plays. But it was one of those things where in this game where there was a small opportunity for the Butchers to really widen the lead, they did it. They made those plays. They chose to, they didn't have to run that screen. They could have just done a regular run play and ran the ball out for the half. But they're like, hey, let's take this opportunity. Let's get some points up. And in the second half, they kept it going. They didn't take it easy on the Royals. They said, we're going to put up some points, work on the offense, and show you what we can really do. And, again, that's why they won this game, is because it might beat offense coordinator. Again, I agree with you. I don't know if it's, chicken or the egg in this situation. But they really chose the right plays to really show what they can do offensively in this game. And it went as the game went on. I feel like in the second and third quarters where they started doing things more to their liking. I think in the first, second quarter, they kind of felt out the Royals and saw what they could do. And then you kind of saw them start using matchups and situational plays. And it really showed in this game, especially when they started putting up just points after points after points. I think it was really interesting that they have basically 3 running backs and they can get the ball to at any time. And then having Mickey J as a running back, he had a really good game running the ball. What was his stats? I don't know what his stats were running the ball.
Stats. Give me 2 seconds. I will grab it.
Yeah, I know he had a good job running the ball in this game, but also, catching passes as he does. I don't understand
Mickey J, 12 carries for 62 yards on the TD, 5 catches for 68 yards on the TD.
So you're 120-something yards all-purpose from him?
130 yards all-purpose.
Off of 20 touches. If you do that every week.
17 touches.
17, my bad. I rounded up. 17 touches, 160 yards?
130.
130 yards, 2 touchdowns, 17 touches for Mickey J. They do this every week. Nobody can beat the Butchers. Yeah, I said it. If they could do that every week, they're not getting beat. Yeah, I said it.
If Mickey J do that every week.
If Mickey J do that every week. Not like if every week the Butchers can get him those touches and be that effective with him in both the run and the pass. That means that offense is running on full tilt. Because for him to be able to do that, you have to not be able to focus on him specifically.
Hey, Josh Taylor is doing this right here. Somebody hold my ginger ale.
Hold my ginger ale.
Hold my ginger ale.
I might have been quick on the gun to say that for the team. Maybe that means that offensively they can score points.
It'll be hard to beat them if they do that every week. I understand what you're saying.
Because I'm not speaking for the defense. And I mean, I know y'all said some really good things about their defense, but I wasn't impressed. I think their defense played hard, and they got a couple of good players. But again, the Royals didn't really do anything. It was mostly 11 guys trying to stop Alpha Jallo and Tom Suosti. I mean, that's just how I felt about it. I was watching the game. It was 13-6, and it didn't look like either team was doing anything crazy. And then once they got ahead and the other team is behind, they only can do so much offensively when you're losing, right? So it means defensively you kind of know what you're going to do, which is not really football, which is easy to win if you know what they're going to do. They're going to try to get the ball to their 2 playmakers. And, again, you're playing a team that has 2 playmakers. That's it. So, I mean, good job, bravo.
Please. The Butchers defense.
I just said they could. I just said they could be unbeatable.
3 turnovers, and they scored twice. They scored a safety and a fumble recovery return.
Hold on. Let's talk about the 3. Let's talk about the 3 turnovers. Because the stats are stats, but you got to watch the game. Okay, look. First of all, the interception to Zach Wright. It was basically a punt.
It was a bad ball. Yeah,
it was 4th and long. He threw it up, so it basically was a punt. And great return by Zach. Because it actually was better than a punt because of his great return. Yes, I give you that. But come on, that's a gimme. Another turnover. Alpha fumbles the ball.
It was a fumble.
Okay. But was it a forced fumble? Or was it a fumble?
I think it was a fumble. I think he dropped it.
He dropped it. He dropped it. That's 2 gimmies. What's the third turnover? Again, I give you that they're turnovers, but watch the game. And you have to give the value to the turnover. Yeah, it's a turnover, and it's great by the Butchers to make something happen from it. But that doesn't mean that you did something special because you were able to do something from. If someone gives you $100 and you go buy some candy, I mean, you didn't make the candy. You went and bought it. That's cool. But someone gave you the money to go buy it. That's what the Royals did in this game offensively. They gave the Butchers the opportunity to do whatever the hell they want to. And I'm not saying the Butchers' defense was bad. I'm just saying it was I say it wasn't great. I think they did a good job tackling the two players that the Royals have. But again, two players.
Hey,
the
quarterback in front of you. You play the quarterback in front of you.
The quarterback ran around in a circle in the end zone and waited for them to sack him. I mean, good job, safety. Good job. A lot of the routes where the wide receiver is wide open.
If you watch
there's
that
routes.
Play, if you watch that safety play, Jesse Vuxentora is unblocked.
They beat up on that line. Unblocked.
He goes straight through. He goes straight through.
So yeah, I mean, and also watch the game. There's plenty of times where some of these Royals receivers are what I would call open, and the ball goes 3 or 4 feet to the left or right of them. Now, I don't know if this quarterback or them, but I know it's not the defense. I know that. I know specifically we're watching a play in the red zone where Alpha's at slot receiver and the DB safety number 1, Sylvester, literally hugs Alpha at 10 yards. Literally hugs him. Referee standing 5 yards behind him, calls nothing. Good defense? Maybe. If you want to
the refs.
Hey, look, there was no flag call, so technically it wasn't a penalty. But again, I'm not going to just give you something from, they had 2 players. That's all I'm going to say. They had 2 players. So, I mean, with that, I still believe the Butchers won this game that was up for grabs at any point. And when they had the opportunity, their offense really went away with it. And their defense was able to shut down a team that has 2 players. 2 players. That's just how I feel about it. It is what it is. Chris, if you want to say something else, go for it.
We could be here forever because we're just going to go around in circles. I
understand.
I get it. 2 players, I completely understand what you're saying, but you play what's in front of you. If that's all they got, that's all they got. That's not the Butchers' defense fault. It's
not their fault. Not their fault at all. And I think the defense played better than the Royals' offense. But again, I don't care. I'm glad. Hey, I am glad they put up a 50 burger though, because I much prefer that the Butchers win that game in style than the Royals think that they could have won the game. That's something that annoyed me all last year about the Royals team. Last year, there was times where they would get blown out and then they come back and win a game and all of a sudden think they were good. They still finished 6-6. And for some reason in the offseason thought they were good. Thought they were coming for a championship this year.
Crazy.
Yeah. Every time they won a game or something, they were like, "Oh, we're so excited." So
in the video, hey, Pervis, popping bottles in the changing room and that.
We shouldn't hold a grudge, but we do.
We don't forget.
We don't forget.
Still didn't see him in the championship game.
I mean, again, some teams and some people, you have to realize sometimes you are what you are. And right now, the Royals are 0-3. That's what they are. Those are just the facts.
Yeah.
Just the facts. So with that, I think we're good with win or loss. We'll get up out of here.
Hey there, fans of American football in Finland. Want to show some love and support to your favorite podcast? For just €3, you can buy us a cup of coffee and help keep our podcast running strong. But why stop at 1 cup? Why not support each host with a cup? Visit buymeacoffee.com and show your support today. Cheers to keeping the conversation going.
That's it for this episode of American Football in Finland. Sorry it took so long, but any last words before we get out of here, guys?
I think we've said everything we need to say.
Yeah, we've said it all. Good luck.
Well, I just want to say, man, it's good. It's good to have the full crew on because I feel like we're good with the full crew. Last weekend is over, so you can catch us talking about the upcoming week of games right here on the AFF podcast tomorrow. Make sure you subscribe, follow, like, and share on all social channels at American Football in Finland. Until next time, never forget
T.
I.
F.
We gone.
We go.
Yo.